All right, so today we're going to dive into Google's secret weapon, you could say,
Oh, yeah.
Napa, their internal data warehouse.
hmm
This thing is the engine behind Google's entire advertising system,
Yep. Yeah.
and it crunches numbers in near real time.
It does.
Can you even imagine the scale of data we're talking about?
It's pretty mind-boggling
Yeah.
when you think about it.
Yeah.
I've got some really dense research papers here about Napa.
Yeah.
What gets me is how it manages to deliver answers to complex questions in milliseconds.
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 Wow, that's faster than I can decide what to have for lunch.
Right.
But, okay, let's back up a bit. Why did Google even need to build something like Napa in the first place?
Well, I mean, think about it. Google has billions of users searches ads.
Yeah.
It's this constant flood of information just pouring in from every corner of the planet.
Right.
Their old systems just couldn't keep up.
So the old systems were like trying to fit an ocean into a teacup.
Pretty much, yeah.
But what were the specific problems that Napa had to solve?
Okay, so they needed a system that was blazing fast, obviously,
Of course.
always up to date, and
Huh.
here's the kicker, affordable
Oh, wow.
to run.
Right.
Yeah.
Because usually you can only pick 2 out of those 3.
Right, exactly. And Napa's design is all about flexibility.
Okay.
So it lets teams kind of prioritize what matters most to them.
So it's like a data buffet where you can load up your plate with whatever combo of speed and freshness and cost savings works for you.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
I like buffets.
Exactly.
So how does it actually work? I mean, how does it do all that?
Okay, so one of the ways Napa achieves this is through something called materialized views.
Materialized views.
Have you heard of these before?
I have, but for the benefit of our listeners,
Oh, of course.
could you just give us like a quick rundown?
Absolutely. So imagine you've got a cheat sheet for your data.
Okay.
That's essentially what these views are.
Okay.
Instead of crunching the numbers every time someone asks a question, Napa has a bunch of pre-calculated answers ready to go.
So it's like having the answers before you even know the question.
Pretty much, yeah. And it gets even better.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, yeah. Napa lets you control how many of these views you have
Oh,
and
really?
how complex they are.
Interesting.
So let's say you need like lightning fast answers for your dashboards.
Yeah.
No problem. Just create more views.
Okay.
If you want to save money on storage,
Uh-huh.
use fewer views, but you might sacrifice a little bit of speed.
Gotcha. So it's all about tailoring the system to your specific needs.
Right, exactly.
I mean, that's a level of control that most data warehouses only dream of.
I know, right?
I was looking at the research papers earlier, and
Yeah.
they mentioned how different Google teams actually use Napa in different ways.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Can you give us some examples?
Absolutely. So the team that manages like the ad auctions, they need the absolute freshest data, even if it costs a bit more.
Makes sense.
But then you've got the team analyzing like long-term trends. They might be okay with data that's a few hours old
Sure.
if it saves them some money.
Right.
So it really depends.
It's like Napa's a data chameleon.
Yeah.
Then it adapts to whatever environment it's in.
Pretty much.
Okay. So with all this data flying around, how do they even make sure everyone is working with the same up-to-date information?
Right, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So that's where the queryable timestamp comes in.
Queryable timestamp.
Queryable timestamp.
Okay.
Think of it as a timestamp on the data, but a super smart one that updates dynamically.
Uh-huh.
So it ensures consistency across all of Google's data centers.
Wow.
Even though updates are happening constantly and
Wait, asynchronously?
asynchronously. What does that even mean?
Well, it means that things aren't happening in a neat,
Right.
orderly fashion.
Yeah. So how does Napa keep everything in sync when updates are coming in from all over the place?
So that's a great question, and it gets to the heart of Napa's genius.
Right. We're talking about a system that's constantly swallowing tens of gigabytes of compressed data every single second.
Every second.
Every second to handle this insane volume.
Yeah.
Napa decouples data ingestion from storage and view maintenance.
Okay, hold slow down a second.
Sure.
Decoupling.
Decoupling.
Does that mean those processes are happening separately?
Exactly. It's like a well-oiled machine where each part has a specific job
Uh-huh.
and it doesn't interfere with the others.
Okay.
So data comes in, it gets temporarily stored,
Okay.
and then processed later in a way that doesn't slow down the system.
So it's like having a dedicated intake department
Yeah.
that just focuses on accepting deliveries without worrying about unpacking and sorting everything immediately.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay.
This allows Napa to accept data incredibly quickly
Mm.
without impacting the performance of queries.
But eventually someone has to deal with all those deliveries.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Can't just keep piling them up forever.
Right. So that's where view maintenance comes in.
Okay.
It's like a team of tireless librarians
Right.
working behind the scenes to organize and categorize all that incoming data.
I like that.
They're the unsung heroes.
Right. So they update the base tables
Yes,
and the materialized views so everything stays consistent and up to date.
exactly.
But that sounds like an incredibly complex and never-ending task.
It is. How do they manage it?
It's a lot of work.
Especially considering some data is accessed way more often than others.
Right. You're talking about data skew.
Yeah.
Where certain pieces of information are hot commodities.
Right.
To handle this, Napa uses a powerful data processing engine called F1 query.
F1 query.
F1 query.
Okay.
So imagine having a team of super efficient librarians who can instantly find and update the most popular books,
Okay.
even when everyone's requesting them at the same time.
So F1 query is like having a secret weapon against data chaos.
Yeah.
It keeps things running smoothly even when there are sudden surges in demand for certain information.
So it's like a
Yeah.
really good traffic management system for data.
Yeah, I like that.
It keeps things flowing.
Right.
Okay, so F1 query helps with the data skew. But what about other potential problems?
Right, so it gets even smarter.
Oh, there's more.
Napa has this built-in controller
Okay.
that's constantly monitoring for any slowdowns or bottlenecks.
Like a supervisor making sure everyone's doing their job.
Yes, exactly. Think of it like a head librarian
Oh,
who can instantly identify any trouble spots
Uh-huh.
and redirect resources to keep things running smoothly.
So they can like shift staff around if one area is getting too busy?
Precisely.
Okay, so we've talked about how Napa handles the incoming data.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about the storage and how it keeps those views up to date.
Yeah.
But what about actually answering queries?
Right.
And that's got to be a challenge at Google scale.
Oh, for sure. That's where query serving comes in.
Query serving.
Query serving.
Okay.
And the name of the game here is speed,
Speed.
but without sacrificing reliability.
Of course, because you can have all the data in the world.
Exactly.
But it's useless if you can't get answers quickly and reliably.
Exactly. And remember, we're talking about Google here.
Right.
They're handling billions of queries every single day.
Yeah, it's a lot of queries.
So the query serving system needs to be incredibly efficient.
So what are some of the tricks that Napa has up its sleeve to achieve this kind of performance?
Well, we don't want to get too lost in the technical weeds here.
Okay.
But one of the key principles is minimizing the amount of data that needs to be read for each query.
Okay.
So Napa leverages those materialized views we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
It pushes down filters to narrow down the data being accessed.
Okay.
And it uses parallelism to break down large queries into smaller, more manageable chunks.
So it's all about being smart about how you access and process the data.
Exactly, kind of like finding the most efficient route through a maze.
Okay, I like that.
Right.
Napa also minimizes disk reads,
Yeah.
which can be slow by using techniques like metadata caching and prefetching.
Right. It's like preheating the oven so your cookies bake faster.
I love that analogy.
You're getting everything ready beforehand
Yeah.
to speed up the process.
But even with all these optimizations,
Yeah.
things can still go wrong in a system this massive.
Absolutely. Things can and do go wrong.
So how does Napa deal with that?
Right. So that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Napa is designed to handle the inevitable hiccups and failures that occur in any large distributed system.
Hiccups. We're talking about Google here.
Yeah.
Not a newborn baby.
Well, even the most sophisticated systems can experience performance fluctuations.
Okay.
Imagine you have 1,000 servers handling queries,
Mm-hmm.
and one of them suddenly starts running slow.
Oh, no.
That slow server can drag down the entire system
Yeah.
and increase latency for everyone.
The Napa needs to be able to handle those outlier situations without causing like a system-wide meltdown.
Precisely.
Okay.
It uses techniques like hedging, hedging progress reporting,
Mhm.
and even failover between data centers
Yep.
to ensure that even when things go wrong,
Uh-huh.
queries are still answered quickly and reliably.
So it's like having backup generators and emergency protocols in place
Exactly.
to keep the lights on even during a power outage?
Exactly.
That's reassuring considering how much Google relies on this system.
Yeah, all of these techniques are designed with the user in mind.
Okay.
Napa is all about respecting your time
Mm-hmm.
while ensuring reliability.
This has been a fascinating peek under the hood of Napa.
Yeah,
It's clear this is much more than just a data warehouse.
definitely.
This is like a finely tuned machine
Mm-hmm.
designed to handle Google's most demanding data challenges.
Yeah, it is.
But does it actually deliver on its promises in the real world?
Well, let's take a look at some of the performance metrics from the research papers.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah.
I'm ready for part 2.
Let's do it.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Napa Google's data warehouse that's built to handle, well, pretty much anything Google throws at it.
It's a beast.
Yeah, before the break, we talked about how Napa manages incoming data, keeps things organized, and serves up answers like lightning.
Mm-hmm.
But now let's get into like the nitty-gritty of how Napa handles these massive multi-petabyte tables. I mean, we're talking about data sets so large,
Yeah.
they make your average spreadsheet look like a Post-it note.
Right.
The research paper mentions something called progressive partitioning,
Yes.
which sounds kind of intimidating.
It does sound a bit scary.
Yeah. What's that all about?
So it's actually a really clever strategy for ensuring those super fast lookups,
Okay.
even when you're dealing with these ridiculously huge tables.
So it's not just about chopping the data into equal chunks, right?
No, it's not that simple.
It's about doing it in a way that makes sense for how the data is actually accessed.
You got it.
Okay.
Napa uses something called enhanced B-trees to achieve this.
Enhanced B-trees.
Enhanced B-trees.
Okay, now hold on.
Yeah.
B-trees, those are used for indexing, like in a library catalog, right?
Yeah.
So is Napa like a giant library?
Well, in a way, yes.
Okay.
But Napa takes this concept to a whole new level.
How so?
So these enhanced B-trees, they store information about the size of the data within each branch,
Okay.
which is crucial for partitioning.
Okay, so why is knowing the data size so important?
So remember, we want to create partitions that are roughly equal in size.
Right, to distribute the workload even.
Exactly. This ensures that each query worker,
The little guy's doing the heavy lifting.
yes, exactly, has a similar workload.
Okay.
We don't want one worker struggling with this massive chunk of data
Right.
while the others are twiddling their thumbs.
That would be bad.
Yeah, uneven workloads, they lead to bottlenecks and slow everything down.
Yeah, of course.
So by knowing the data size within each branch of the B tree,
Mm-hmm.
Napa can quickly estimate the size of different key ranges and create these balanced partitions.
So it's like having a map of the data landscape
Yeah.
that allows Napa to easily identify the areas that need to be divided up.
Exactly like drawing districts on a map to make sure each voting precinct has a similar number of people.
Okay, I like that analogy.
Yeah, it makes it a bit easier to visualize.
It does. So it's all about working smarter, not harder. Then.
Right.
Napa avoids wasting time and resources by only focusing on the areas that actually need attention.
Precisely. This approach is incredibly efficient,
Okay.
especially when you're dealing with these massive multi-petabyte tables
Right.
where even a small inefficiency can have a huge impact.
It's amazing how much thought goes into making sure a system like this runs smoothly.
It is impressive, isn't it?
It is, but what happens if, even after zooming in,
Yeah.
Napa can't create partitions that are perfectly balanced?
Right. So perfection is a nice goal,
Sure.
but in the real world, data can be messy and unpredictable.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
So instead of getting stuck trying to achieve perfect balance,
Uh-huh.
Napa uses an error margin ratio to guide the partitioning process.
So it's basically saying, okay, these partitions aren't perfectly equal, but they're close enough for our purposes.
Exactly. It allows for a little wiggle room
Yeah.
to keep things moving.
So it's more about being practical than being perfect.
Right. We'd rather have a query that finishes in a reasonable time
Yeah.
than one that takes hours to complete.
Right, because the system is obsessed with finding perfectly balanced partitions.
Exactly. And this flexibility is a big part of what makes Napa so powerful.
Okay.
It can adapt to the specific needs of each query,
Right.
whether it's like a quick dashboard update
Okay.
or a complex data analysis job.
This whole progressive partitioning technique is really impressive.
It is pretty cool.
But I'm curious, the research paper mentions that Napa handles more than just those key lookup scans we've been focusing on.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
What else can it do?
So while key lookup scans are a core part of what Napa does,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a one-trick pony.
Oh,
It's a fully fledged data warehouse that can handle a wide range of complex SQL queries.
we're working about queries that involve joining multiple tables,
Yes.
filtering data based on specific criteria, performing calculations, the real data analysis, heavy lifting.
Exactly. And for those more complex queries, Napa relies on the power of F1 query, the
Right.
data processing engine we talked about earlier. It's like having a team of expert analysts who can quickly sift through mountains of data and extract the insights you need.
So Napa provides the data storage, the organization, those super fast lookups.
Yeah.
while F1 query is the brawn behind the operation,
I like that.
crunching numbers and making sense of it all.
It's a great way to put it.
And what about those materialized views we keep talking about?
Yeah.
Do they still play a role in these complex queries?
Absolutely, they do.
Okay.
Think of them as turbochargers for your analytical engine.
Okay.
Remember, materialized views are essentially pre-computed results of common queries.
Right.
So they can dramatically speed up even the most complicated analytical tasks.
So even when you're dealing with joins and aggregations across multiple tables,
Mhm.
Napa can leverage those pre-calculated shortcuts to
Exactly.
deliver insights faster.
It's like having a team of analysts working behind the scenes,
Okay.
constantly preparing summaries and reports.
You don't have to start from scratch every time.
Exactly. Napa is all about efficiency,
Right.
whether it's handling simple lookups or crunching through complex analytical queries.
This deep dive has been truly eye-opening.
It has been interesting, hasn't it?
Napa is a testament to what's possible when you combine brilliant engineering with a laser focus on solving real-world problems.
Yeah, Google really pushed the boundaries with this one.
They did, but why should our listeners care about this?
That's a good point.
Most of us aren't Google engineers dealing with petabytes of data.
Right, but even if you're not working at Google scale, there are valuable lessons to be learned from Napa.
So even if our data sets are, a bit more manageable,
Yeah,
we can still apply some of the principles behind Napa's design.
absolutely. One of the key takeaways here is the importance of balancing speed, freshness, and cost.
Right.
Napa shows that there's no one-size-fits-all solution when it comes to data.
Okay.
You need to choose the right tools and techniques
Yeah.
based on your specific needs.
It's a good reminder to think about what we're trying to achieve with our data and then choose the approach that makes the most sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes speed is paramount.
Right.
Other times it's more about having the most up-to-date information.
Right.
And sometimes it's all about keeping costs down.
Makes sense. And Napa also highlights the power of thinking outside the box.
Oh, for sure.
When faced with unprecedented data challenges,
Yeah.
Google didn't settle for existing solutions.
No, they didn't.
They pushed the boundaries of data warehousing to create a system that could meet their unique demands.
They did. It's inspiring to see what's possible
Yeah.
when you combine engineering brilliance with a relentless focus on solving real-world problems.
And speaking of pushing boundaries,
Yeah.
Napa doesn't stop there.
It doesn't.
The research paper hints at even more advanced capabilities on the horizon.
Oh, really? Like what?
Things like automatic view suggestion and self-tuning.
Wow. So it's a system that's constantly evolving and improving, striving for even greater efficiency and ease of use.
That's incredible. But for now, let's move on to the final part of our Napa deep dive, where we'll uncover some intriguing details about how it handles those complex queries.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've spent the last two segments spelunking through the depths of Napa.
It's been quite a journey.
It has Google's data warehouse extraordinaire.
Yeah.
We've encountered petabytes of data,
Oh, yeah.
mind-bending partitioning techniques, and enough acronyms to make your head spin.
Definitely. But we're not done yet.
Oh, there's more.
Remember how we mentioned that Napa can handle more than just simple key lookup scans?
Yes.
It's time to delve into the world of complex queries
Okay.
and see how Napa flexes its analytical muscles.
I am ready for the challenge.
All right.
We've seen how Napa excels at retrieving individual records with lightning speed. But what about those big, hairy queries that involve analyzing trends, joining multiple data sets, and extracting, those golden nuggets of insight?
Okay. So that's where F1 Query steps into the spotlight.
F1 query.
F1 Query, it's Google's query processing engine,
Okay.
and it's tightly integrated with Napa to handle those intricate analytical tasks.
So Napa provides the data storage, the organization, those super fast lookups.
Mm-hmm.
Well, F1 query is the brawn behind the operation,
Yeah.
crunching numbers and making sense of it all.
I like that analogy. It works well.
It's like a dynamic duo.
It is.
But what about those materialized views? Do
Yeah.
they still play a role in these complex queries?
Absolutely. They do think of them as turbochargers for your analytical engine.
Turbochargers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm listening.
Remember, materialized views are essentially pre-computed results of common queries.
Right.
So they can dramatically speed up even the most complicated analytical tasks.
So even when you're dealing with joins and aggregations across multiple tables.
Right. Napa can leverage those pre-calculated shortcuts to deliver insights faster.
Exactly. It's like having a team of analysts working behind the scenes, constantly preparing summaries and reports.
So you don't have to start from scratch every time.
Exactly. Napa is all about efficiency, whether it's handling simple lookups or crunching through complex analytical queries.
This deep dive has been truly eye-opening. Napa is a testament to what's possible when you combine brilliant engineering with a laser focus on solving real-world problems.
It really is. And it's a system that's constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible with data.
Yeah.
And it reminds us that even as the amount of data we generate continues to explode, we can still find ways to tame the beast and extract valuable knowledge.
That's what it's all about, isn't it? Data is only as valuable as the insights we can glean from it.
Exactly.
Napa shows that with the right tools and a healthy dose of ingenuity, we can unlock those secrets hidden within our data and use them to make better decisions.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of Napa, we want to leave you with this thought. What mysteries are waiting to be uncovered within your own data?
It's a good question to think about.
Maybe you have a mountain of customer data that could reveal hidden patterns in their behavior.
Or untapped insights buried in your sales records.
Yeah, that could help you optimize your strategy.
Possibilities are endless.
Whatever your data challenges may be, remember the lessons we've learned from Napa. Think creatively, embrace flexibility, and never underestimate the power of a well-designed system.
And who knows, maybe someday your own data warehouse will be featured on an episode of The Deep Dive.
That's right. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey.
It's been a pleasure.